Welcome to Transcendent. I'm Joe, and I'm the dad.
And I'm Raya, and I'm the daughter.
Did you know that they're not making pennies anymore? They quit making pennies.
I did hear that in the news, yeah.
I think that was maybe November. Do you know why they're not making pennies anymore?
No, I've never totally understood it.
The administration, in their wisdom, just discovered they don't have any more common sense.
Welcome to our new listeners. We're grateful to have you here. We are a podcast between a dad and a transgender daughter. We are just having this conversation to talk about what we have learned about our relationship. And maybe somebody has sent this podcast to you saying you might benefit from what they have to say. That might mean you may be somebody that's skeptical towards LGBTQ issues. That is okay. We're grateful to have you here. We want to speak today to the people that say, I love my child, but I just can't support this.
What do LGBTQ plus people actually want? I'm talking about both the LGBTQ plus community and those of us who are affirming and supporting them, like the dad and the mother, the grandfather, etc. Brothers, sisters, anybody who is supporting. What do we want? There's a lot of misunderstanding, and it's helpful for us to just adjust that first. They think we're asking for special treatment, for those in the LGBTQ plus community to have special treatment.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of people saying, well, the problem that I have with LGBTQ people is they're trying to control language. They're trying to erase religion. Here's a big one. They're trying to indoctrinate children. They're just trying to silence disagreement. And I want to say that is not the goal of this podcast here right now. We want to take your concerns seriously here. Those are not the things that we're looking for.
Right. And they are not only are the things we're saying, but also I think collectively the LGBTQ plus community feels the same way. Those fears that people think are something that we want to do and control, those fears didn't come from nowhere. They have been amplified by social media or political messaging and extreme voices on all sides.
We really have become, in the LGBTQ plus community, almost like a hockey puck in the political world.
Yeah.
And everybody just keeps batting us around. And the thing that often gets lost is most of us are not trying to be activists. We're just trying to live our lives.
That's right.
And I remember when I first came out, the biggest thing was I was trying to turn it off, to make it go away, to not come out as trans, to not have to go through all of this stuff. When I finally realized I can't fight this anymore, I was not looking to make a big splash. I was not looking to change minds. I was looking to come and just be as quiet as I could and just blend in. I wasn't trying to make waves or create any problems at all.
Let me put this into perspective when I say we out there. Let me give you an idea of how many people we're talking about. There is an estimation that approximately 12% of the people in the United States identify in some form as LGBTQ plus.
And the plus, of course, is for all kinds of additional people. Sometimes we hear all of these letters and we think, oh, you're trying to shove all this down my throat. It's really just a way to make people that in other contexts don't feel like they fit in, don't feel like they belong. So there can be people like, for instance, if you're born intersex, do you belong in the LGBTQ plus community? You know, you were born with genitals that don't quite line up with what most men or most women are, boys or girls are. If your genitals are ambiguous or your chromosomes are not lining up exactly, do you fit in the LGBTQ plus community? Well, I would say that's where the plus comes in. What about if you're asexual and you feel like I don't have a draw towards a sexual attraction, or maybe you're aromantic. Do you fit in? Well, I think most people would say, well, yes, you have a place here, and lots of other identities. The idea is just to have a large umbrella and say all of the people that feel like I don't really fit in with how things are.
So collectively, we're looking at approximately 12% of the population. 12% of the population, that comes to about 45 million people. But that is just the LGBTQ plus community. Then there is the other side. Those of us on the affirming side are more than one. So if it's 12%, it's probably 24% of the people or more who are collectively supporting all of those people. They say, in reality, I've seen this statistic many times, approximately 70% of the people in the United States say they are affirming or they're part of the LGBTQ plus community. Now we're looking at 300 million people. 70% of the people is definitely not just a majority. It is a major majority.
Now, the danger comes in is that if you're not really listening to LGBTQ plus voices, if you don't have a lot of actual people in your life that you're engaging with about these things, you can very easily get a skewed perspective that the loudest voices are representative of everybody. Are there bad actors out there? Are there people that do want to do all those things that we talked about, controlling speech and indoctrinating children and all of those things? Absolutely there are. But that is not the majority of us. Most of us are just trying to live our lives. And when you listen to the bulk of us, those of us that are not loud, are not outspoken, you find a different kind of message here. And so we want to talk a little bit about what do people in the LGBTQ plus community actually want?
Right. And we kind of brought this down to 5 things. The first of these is safety. LGBTQ plus people want to be safe. They want to be safe at school, at work, in public places, and sometimes even in their own families.
I think all the time in our own families. But
yes, that's right. Yeah, I think all the time.
But feel like we're not.
Safety means not being harassed or threatened, mocked, or physically harmed simply for existing.
When I first transitioned, I discovered that the world is a much scarier place than I grew up originally thinking, because now all of a sudden I have a new liability. I have new people that dislike me for no reason. I have had people tell me that I don't deserve to live. I've had them tell me that I would not be welcome in their house. I've had them tell me that maybe they would speak with me, but I would not be welcome to even use their bathroom. Yeah. Then I think I'm just a human being. Think of the amount of feelings of threat that comes when people say, you're not welcome here.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to live my life, and I just want to know that I'm not feeling safe. Now or that I am feeling safe. Now, you can imagine what that would feel like if you had to go through your life not feeling safe. Think of a time where you felt like there was somebody that was threatening you, or somebody that was getting all up in your face, somebody that was making your life hard. Now, imagine if just for an aspect of your identity, that's what was putting you out there. And now imagine that somebody that was close to you, that loved you, was saying, I don't accept who you are right now, and I'm unhappy with your choice to live as you are right now. You can imagine how unsafe that would make you feel.
So the second thing we look at is dignity. And everybody wants dignity. That's really critical. It's really important to your own self-worth and a variety of other things. Dignity means being spoken about as human beings, not as problems to be solved or threats to be eliminated, just as human beings like everyone else. You can disagree with someone without stripping them of dignity, and that is really critical. I think back to the time during the Emancipation Proclamation, when the blacks had such a difficult time becoming part of society and still do in many areas because they lack the respect and the dignity that they deserve. It seems only correct.
Now, of course, LGBTQ plus issues are different from race issues. I would not want to say that they're the same or even that they're similar. There are certainly aspects that are similar, but there's a lot of differences. And I, as a white person, do not feel, like I have a place to speak to what any black person in our society would have gone through. But what I can say is that every single human deserves dignity. I've heard people say pretty frequently, actually, that I will only give somebody respect if they have earned respect. And I think that is one of the dumbest things that you can say. That's one of the, I think, just most poor decisions to make in the way that you treat the world. Because if you treat everybody with respect, it's a way to say, you know what, this costs me nothing, but I'm going to treat you as a fellow human being, because in so doing, then I know that you are much more likely to treat me as a fellow human being. But yet, so often when we're in family relationships and tensions start to get high, what's the first thing to go out the door? Is treating one another with dignity. We start to call names. We start to, throw mud verbally at one another. And those are the places where we need to pull the rhetoric way back down and to start with the place of saying, I see you as a human being. I see you with the dignity that you deserve. But of course, it's not just dignity. We also want to talk about conversation and what we are looking for in conversation.
The other thing we're looking for in conversation is honesty. Honesty is really critical. Most LGBTQ plus people would rather hear, I don't understand, rather than hearing words that hide their rejection. I get that as a supporter, as an ally. I get that often, where people are covering the idea that they don't want to accept or talk about any of that at all because they just code it in something else. I had that happen to me just this week at our Christmas gathering. One of the people said, I really don't agree with any of that, but I just keep quiet about it. Well, that doesn't give us an opportunity to really have honest conversations. And honesty is what we want in conversations, not just rhetoric. The next thing we're looking at also is fair treatment. Now that you hear, and some people will take that to the next level, that they want special treatment. That isn't really what we're looking for. We're looking for fair treatment. Fair treatment means access to housing, employment, health care, public life without discrimination. That's what fair treatment is. It doesn't mean special treatment. It doesn't mean getting rights that somebody else doesn't have. It just means being fair. It's not about being celebrated. It's about not being excluded.
Right. We're not looking for, we need you to throw us a party and you need to make sure that you're always talking about LGBTQ plus issues and you always are saying, oh, I love gay people and oh, I love transgender people.
Yeah.
We just want to be treated equally. And that brings us to the fifth one that we singled out here. We're looking for the ability to exist without being a debate. Now imagine for you, just as who you are, imagine if your identity came up for public vote every few years. Do you even deserve the right to exist? And it can feel like we're always on the docket. Look, I'm not looking to change your mind. I tell friends of mine that do not accept me for who I am, in my transition, and they still believe that I'm a man, I was born a man, I will always be a man. I say to them, look, I don't need to convince you. I don't get any points in my life for convincing you. You feel free to believe whatever you want to believe. All I'm asking for is just call me by my name right now, which for me is my legal name. And you know what? If you use my pronouns, if you refer to me as she, her, believe me, I understand where you stand on things. You don't need to feel like every single time you use any language to talk about me, you need to remind me that you don't agree with me. Believe me, I am well aware of it. So we're not looking to have a debate. For myself, I just want to exist. I want to coexist. I want to be able to have a nice, easy, honest conversation with you. And I'm tired of being discussed as an idea instead of as a person. That's it. That's it. That's the list. It's not radical. It's just human.
There is more to talk about, but the list you just heard: safety, dignity, honesty in conversation, and fair treatment. The ability to exist without being a debate. That's it. That's the whole list. But stick with us, because you're going to hear a lot more about people of faith and a word to people of faith, which I am one, right after this.
I am Mark Zemer, a listener and supporter of Transcendent. I've been a Lutheran pastor for 45 years, and oh, what a journey that was for me to understand the LGBTQIA community and what that meant. I was so not understanding and hurtful. So this podcast is incredibly important to really educate and understand and to hold relationships together. So I urge you to consider listening, of course, but also supporting. You can go to transcendent.com and click on the heart with a support button. You can give as little as $3 a month, and you can cancel at any time. Important for all of us on this journey of understanding, keeping relationships together, truly being people of love.
You know, many non-accepting people will say, I don't hate anyone. And you know, I believe that that is often true. But here's something that Dad and I have learned. Good intentions do not cancel harmful impact. Let me say that again. Good intentions don't cancel harmful impact. Now think of it this way. Imagine you go to the doctor's office and the doctor brings you in and you get the diagnosis and the doctor prescribes you a medication. But they prescribe the wrong medication, but they've got all the best intentions. The harm still happens, right? So when parents use words that hurt their LGBTQ plus children, while believing that they're acting in love, I'm really wanting the best for you. I believe that I'm doing the right thing. Boy, that wound still hurts. And it hurts deeply. And that is, I think, what your child wants you to know.
So the LGBTQ people are asking you to consider this. Could your words or actions be hurting someone, even if you don't mean them to? That question alone can and will change lives, and it will change relationships between people who maybe are having a hard time right now being the way they used to be together.
And I will tell you, if you don't understand this, I can guarantee that you're having issues and problems in all of your relationships, because we all, just by nature of being humans and by nature of talking with one another, will occasionally say things that we didn't mean to be hurtful, but still come across as hurtful. You've experienced it from other people. When somebody has said something and you know that they didn't mean anything by it, but you know it still just hit a nerve, those things still require an apology. And if you're the type of person that you say, well, I didn't mean anything by it, so don't come at me. Well, no. What we want to do is apologize for the harm that was caused. So what we do is we say, you know what? I am sorry that I hurt you. We don't say, I'm sorry if you got your feelings hurt. That's not what we're looking for. What we're looking to do is just the empathy, the very empathy that comes from knowing that somebody else was deeply hurt by our words. And every one of us does this all the time. We just said the words the wrong way. We said something uncaring, unthinking, but it landed wrong. It's just a matter of saying, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. Or maybe I did mean it like that, and I didn't realize it would hurt like it did. Whatever it is, I'm sorry that I said that.
I know there's a lot of people out there right now that are saying, yes, but what about my faith? And what about I believe in my faith? And how does that connect with what you're talking about?
I spent years myself as a pastor before I transitioned in a very conservative, evangelical, charismatic church, and I went round and round for myself with this. So believe me, I have as much compassion for people wrestling with this as anyone can have, because I wrestled with this myself for 2 decades.
Yes, I know you did.
And feeling like, but my faith does not allow me to be accepting. I understand when you're in that place, you're trying to live the way that you believe that you're supposed to live. And I am not asking you to change that. What I am asking you to do is to live by the ideals of your faith. And that means, if you're a Christian, means living like Jesus. Or if you're in one of the other great traditions, it means doing to others as you would have them do to you, or don't do to others what would be hurtful to you, or any of the other ways that this oftentimes gets phrased.
Yes, and I can tell you, as the parent, I also came from a strong faith tradition, and I still have a strong faith. In fact, I believe in my mind, I know where I'm going when I die. I'm comfortable with that. My faith is very strong, and I'm so understanding of, I think I know where the person I follow would be.
And those are not just words for you. You had a major health crisis, and you were not sure that you were going to pull through. And that's the moment where you discovered that you had that sense of peace. I don't think any of us really know until we go through that. And I think that really means something. So when we say that we're coming from this place of being people of faith, we want you to understand that it's coming from a place of sincerity.
And here's what I learned. You don't have to change your theology to change your behavior. That doesn't have to happen. You can hold your beliefs and still refuse to mock people, refuse to exclude people, refuse to spread fear, refuse to treat LGBTQ people as less than human. That will actually put your faith in motion. Love, in its most basic form, begins with how we treat the person right in front of us. It makes all the difference in your relationships with that person.
Coming from the Christian tradition, I always think through the words of Jesus and the stories that we hear about him, and you never see him shying away from the wrong people. You see him embracing all of the wrong people, right?
All the time.
Outsiders, the foreigners, and the women of ill repute, so to speak, and the sinners and the people that were outside of the religious bounds. But the people that he would frequently butt heads with were the religious people that refused to have compassion and to have mercy for those around them.
Here's a takeaway I'd like to leave you with. It's one question. It's not a challenge. It's an invitation. Ask yourself, if I'm wrong about this person, what would it cost me to be curious instead of certain? Most LGBTQ people are not asking for your approval. They're asking you for your humanity. You don't have to agree with us to stop hurting us. That would be one thing you probably could write down As a matter of fact, when I thought of it, I wrote it down myself on this sheet in front of me. So let me repeat that. You don't have to agree with us to stop hurting us. And when I say us, I include myself because I am part of the group that is affirming. When I say I have a transgender daughter and I get this rejection, it can make me feel just as hurt.
One of my favorite authors is named Rachel Held Evans. She's passed away now, but she said, I affirm LGBTQ people because they are human beings created in the image of God. I affirm their sexual orientations and gender identities because they reflect the diversity of God's good creation where very little fits into rigid binary categories. She says, I recently read an article that described LGBTQ people and those who love them and affirm them as wolves prowling and lions roaring, bold and proud of their heresy. That is not true. That's not who we are. We are parents compelled by unconditional love to embrace our children as God made them and to give them every chance to be healthy and whole. We are pastors compelled by scripture, tradition, and a responsibility to God's people to preach a gospel that is good news for all, especially for the marginalized and the cast out. We are therapists and counselors compelled by stories of trauma and heartache to point to a better way forward. And we are friends and neighbors, siblings and Sunday school teachers, aunts and uncles, Christian college professors, spurred by truth and love to speak out. And many of us have paid a steep price for doing so, though never as steep as the LGBTQ people who face the brunt of discrimination every day. We don't take this posture because it's easy or popular or rebellious. We do it because we believe with every fiber of our beings and with the conviction of the Holy Spirit that it's the right thing to do.
And if you feel that this is an issue that you could share with someone else, we highly encourage you to do that. We have seen so many people recently that have been sharing our episodes all around the world. We just had a new listener in Helsinki, which is exciting. I believe that's country number 73 for us.
Welcome to everybody from Finland and wherever you are listening.
And if this episode made you think, even a little, we invite you to keep listening. Conversations don't change the world overnight, but they do change people. And changed people change the world.
We are grateful that you took the time to listen to this episode, and we hope that you'll find other episodes that you find interesting and compelling as well. Go through our whole list. There's lots of topics that we have covered. If you know anybody else that could benefit from an episode, share this with them.
And with that, we'll see you Monday.